That's wonderful.
Yeah, because back in August, I was in a coma for 10 days, and I was pronounced dead. Um, the doctor said I had 0% chance of living, and my family had to come from all over the United States to make final arrangements for me. And my ex-husband, who we're very close today, even though we are divorced, he, we have a horse that he takes care of, and he went to the barn to take care of his horse, and he got this vision from God. He went to open the gate, and God told him to go back to the hospital, tell my family to continue praying for me, that in 3 days I was going to come out of that coma. So he is back in his truck, he drives back to the hospital, leaves the horses, doesn't feed them, just leaves, and he goes back to the hospital. He tells my family, continue praying for her, she's going to come out of this coma. And they're all looking at each other like, no, they said she's dead, and the nurses and doctors pulled him outside, and they said, no, she's gone, you need to make decisions. That day they were going to pull the plug on me. He begged them, give her that 3 days, just give her that 3 days. And so he convinced my family to allow them to give me that 3 days. And 3 days later, I came out of that coma and they pulled my trach out. Wow. And I'm here today.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And here I am today. My voice is still...
Wow.
So he basically, he did save my life. So...
Wow. May I ask, what brought you in that coma in the first place?
Well, I was dating a guy who overdosed me on Tylenol. Out of all things, Tylenol.
I'm so sorry.
But I've learned to move on.
Sure.
And learned to forgive.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Not for him, but for me. That same day that I was in a coma, he took off. And I haven't seen or heard from this guy ever since. He stole money out of my bank account and everything. He's gone. So there was a lot of, family tension, with my family and stuff. But every day gets better. Every day I move on. Every day my voice comes back. Every day gets better for me. So, and I thank God that I'm here today.
You're amazing. You're so full of strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm out here with my sons now, and I'm happy, and I'm full of life, and I'm ready to move on.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, during those days of your coma, did you have any visions of yourself? Did you have any insight into that experience?
The only thing I do remember was, I guess I had been in the coma for maybe 6 days, and I heard somebody talking to me. And this person was telling me that I needed to get better, I needed to get up out of that bed, because she came to Florida, and I promised this person that if she came to Florida, that I would take her to get her nails done, that we'd hang out at the beach, we'd go get our hair done, we would just hang out. And I woke up, and I asked somebody, I said, who was that? It was my little sister. That's the only thing I remember. And I must have went back into she was getting ready to go back home that day. And I went back in my coma, and I was there probably another 4 days. That's the only thing I remember.
That's remarkable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remarkable.
I'm here for a reason. I know that I'm here for a reason.
And thank goodness to your ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, what was his explanation for his vision? Did he have any?
Just that he was told by God, and the doctors and nurses, they didn't believe him. Well, probably 10 days after I came out of the coma, I'm walking down the hallway with my physical therapist, and the nurses and the doctors, they could not believe that I was up and I was walking. That I was actually alive and I was walking, because I was actually 0% chance of living. I was brain dead. I was gone. That's what my family was told.
Remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Having overcome that, how has that changed your outlook on life?
A great deal. A great deal. I try to spend more time with my kids and my granddaughter. My granddaughter lives literally 2 minutes from me. So, I don't take life for granted anymore. I try to talk to girls, tell them to be careful. Because this guy that I was with, I've known this man for 30 years. I grew up with this guy. And nobody can believe that he actually did that to me, but he did. So, just, I just tell them to be careful. Don't be too trusting like I was. I was very trusting. I was too trusting, I think. And just, just be careful out there. You gotta watch who you trust.
Well, all I have to say is you're an inspiration to everybody. So thank you very much for this interview. I appreciate it.
I do have one more thing to add.
Please.
I just came back from Ohio.
Yes.
I was there for 4 days. And I was on the plane, and my son and I, my younger son and I, we were on our way back. We were flying from Cleveland to Atlanta, and they told us that there was no seats available for us to sit together. Okay, that's no problem. He probably would have fell asleep on my lap anyway. He's a big boy. He's 6'2". He weighs over 200 something pounds. A big boy. So he said, okay. So they sit me next to this woman. And this woman had never flown in an airplane before. She had like 5 or 6 kids. She'd never flown in an airplane before. And she sat next to me. She was nervous. And she was telling me that she'd never flown before. I told her, I said, it's going to be okay. I said, I do this all the time. I fly all the time. She said that, then she looked at me. She broke down. She started crying. She told me that her son was in Seattle, Washington, that he was in a coma, that he had gotten pneumonia, and he got MRSA in the hospital, and that he was comatose, and that she was on a plane, she was headed that way to see him. So we cried together and we prayed for him. And in the meantime, that seat next to my son was empty. I don't know how I ended up next to this woman, but the seat next to my son was empty. I looked up, and that seat was empty.
Wow.
And she thanked me for sitting with her and praying with her, and she was just, I made her feel better, and that made me feel good, that I had made her feel better. She was a little bit more comfortable with the ride, and she was okay after that.
You were a blessing to her.
Mhm.
For a reason.
Mhm. I was there for a reason.
Yeah.
For some reason, when we got up, they said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we cannot put you and your son in a seat together." And after the plane took off, and this lady and I started talking, I looked up. My son was like 3 aisles in front of me. That seat next to him was empty.
That is something.
Mhm.
That is remarkable.
Mhm.
And who knows what kind of inspiration you can be to others, going forward.
I tell my story all the time.
Yeah.
All the time I tell
Yeah.
my story. People, they say, "Oh, I got the chills, I got the chills." So.
Definitely continue telling your
Mhm.
story and being a mentor towards others and stuff.
Mhm.
This is like you said, life changing.
Mhm. Definitely life changing. And I'm here for a reason, and I know that. God has big plans for me, and I know that.
Well, thank you very much. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.